What is up, guys? Rick Cack is here. Just kidding. Just kidding. I love that channel. First of all, guys, let me say my apologies for the late upload. I know I didn't do anything last week, and it's because my nephew is with me right now, and I love him. He's my favorite little monkey, but he takes up a lot of time, and I can't do this when he's around. So, all that said, let's talk about Scary Tales to Tell in the Dark. Directed by Andre Overdahl and starring Zoe Colletti, Michael Garza, Gabriel Rush, and others. This is a movie about a bunch of kids who, after getting kind of trapped in an abandoned house, they find a book, and of course, they take that book with them, only to realize that the stories that are being written in the book are about them and their impending demise. Scary Tales to Tell in the Dark. I love movies like this because they bring me right back to when I was a kid. I always loved scary movies, even at a very young age. And TV shows like Goosebumps, Twilight Zone, all that sort of stuff I was really into. And especially, of course, scary movies that were made and geared towards kids. And I feel like we don't get a lot of that now. So I feel like kids miss out on how fun that was, with movies like Witches and Monster Squad and stuff like that when we were little. The Gate is an absolute favorite of mine, starring a very young Stephen Dorff. So this movie brought me back to that, and that will always put a smile on my face. Now, I'm not familiar with the books because we didn't get them here in Trinidad. I am more familiar with the Goosebumps books, but I know these are based on books. And of course, this screenplay was co-written by one of my genre favorites, Guillermo del Toro. So we get his touches all over this movie, which is always a good thing in my opinion. So, all that said, let's get into more of the good stuff. And first of all, I have to say two of these stories really stood out to me. Now, whenever you have this type of anthology thing going on, you always find there are weaker and stronger moments, stronger stories, I should say. If you've seen stuff like VHS and Trick or Treat and stuff, I'm sure there's stories there that are your favorites and some that you think are just okay. For me, the two that stood out, the two that were fantastic, Harold and the Pale Lady. Harold, of course, being the first story, which is about a scarecrow. I won't get into it for those who haven't seen it, but there was this television show called Friday the 13th, and there was an episode with a haunted scarecrow that scared the bejesus out of me. And I absolutely love that Harold brought me right back to that. There's something so creepy about scarecrows, and always very cool to see somebody who you think get their comeuppance. This guy gets it in the worst way, but yeah, so I really like that. The Pale Lady, the design of that character was so Del Toro, was so like something you would see in Hellboy. She is the stuff of nightmares, and those are the two for me that really looked menacing and looked scary and genuinely creepy. Another aspect of this movie that I quite like is that it got darker as it went along. It really didn't pull the punches, and this one has a pretty decent body count. I can't wait to check out to see if Deadly does this one later down the road. This one has a decent body count for a child, what is basically kind of a kids movie. When I say kids, of course, I mean anywhere between 12 and 15, I guess. But like I said, I was a lucky kid. I started watching horror movies when I was much younger. So I don't know, it depends on the kid, but this for me is a kids movie, and I was surprised to see how dark this movie got. But then again, it's Guillermo del Toro, and del Toro always has this thing about showing the loss of innocence when it comes to kids in his movies. Especially the topic of the war comes up in this film a lot. It pops up here and there, and you see that in his movie The Orphanage and Pan's Labyrinth. You see how war affects young people and affects children, and he touches on that here. I feel like that's what he's trying to pull together here from time to time. It isn't really necessary, honestly, but you still see that touch here. That, like I said, that loss of innocence seems to be the ongoing theme in this movie. So I really enjoyed this guys, I thought this was a solid scary movie, and I haven't really had anything that great. I haven't gotten to see Midsummer as yet. But is it perfect? And that would be a no for me. First of all, like I said, with anthologies, you have your strong and you have your weak, and that also applies to the acting. And I felt here that, with the exception of the actors who played Ramon and Augie, the others were a little uneven. You know, it's not that anybody's bad, but some of it is uneven. Some of it feels kind of cliched. There's a story with a girl and a zit on her face that just felt, you know, like it could have popped up in any other generic, lesser, I should say, story. The bully here is just that, a bully. There's like no development, no backstory, no reason for him being the way he is. Those type of characters, you know, I'm kind of tired of that, you know, and I would have preferred something a little more fleshed out. But the main three, they did a serviceable job. They did a good job, I thought. Um, Speaking of uneven as well, the narrative is a bit uneven. It could get a bit muddled and messy, in the sense that I think there were a little too much going on sometimes, too many intersecting stories, in the sense that they would meander onto, well, okay, this is the main story, this is what we're dealing with the book and what's happening there. But then you would have, you know, this one is dealing with that, and this one is dealing with that, and the war, and this, and it could get a little muddled, it could get a little messy. But overall, guys, I think scary stories to tell in the dark. Am I saying that correctly? Or is it scary tales? Either way, I think this is a solid movie. I think this is a fun movie, and I quite enjoyed it. I would love to hear from people who've read the books, if a lot of this stuff is from the books, if these stories are directly from the books, or is it new stuff. I think I read that some of it is like more than one story kind of mushed into one. Did you like that? You know, I really would like to hear from you guys what you thought about this movie. For me, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark gets a solid 7 out of 10. I really enjoyed this, guys. And that's going to be it for this one. So, if you guys like this video, please feel free to hit that thumbs up button. It's really appreciated. You guys want to subscribe to my channel, you can click on my face right over there. And of course, for past videos, you can check those out right over there. So, until next time, guys. Bye-bye.